Welcome back to another episode of Awakening TV. I'm your host, heart expert, and the author of the book Awakening to Your Story, Alicia Hartzell. You know, I get a lot of questions about dating lives. I get it from men and I get it from women. And, you know, I think one of the most valuable places to do your seeking and your work is your love relationships. Now, this goes out to all your love relationships, your family members, your best friends, you know, whoever it is you have your partnership with in life, though, that is a huge love relationship. That cord goes directly into your heart and makes you pay attention and do the work. So I wanted to take one of my questions and bring it to life in this episode because I just think it's such a valuable place to kind of start to see and evolve and create healing. So this week's question starts like this. My friend keeps dating the same kind of crappy guys over and over again. To say she has a type is an understatement. It's like the same person in a different body every time. It doesn't matter if she finds them on a dating site or in person, it never ends up working out. She says she wants to find the one, and she always rushes in and thinks that every guy is the guy. But then, inevitably, she ends up in a heap recovering from yet another crappy breakup. I don't know what to do to help her anymore. She's amazing, and I want her to find a loving, happy relationship, but she can't seem to get there. I love your idea of mapping out the heart, and I wanted to know if it applies to this. Can you explain it to me so that I can help her figure out what's going on? Yes. You know, I want to kind of go at this in two parts, right? The first part is this idea of the one and rushing in. And then the second part, I want to kind of explain how the heart works so that you can see where you can do the work. Now, finding the one and rushing into a relationship, we're all, you know, guilty of this. We all want to have a relationship that is fulfilling. And, you know, one of my all-time favorite kind of laughable things in the cinema was the whole Jerry Maguire move where he runs in and it's like, you complete me. And it's this like, oh, melting at your feet kind of moment. And it's such a lie and it's such a trap that we so often fall into. You have this idea that this person, this other external being from you, is going to come in and fill a void within you. He's going to fill this beautiful picture of a life that you have dreamt of, or fill an emotional space, right? We so often do this. Come in and love me so that I can feel loved. Come in and hold this space and see me so that I know that I am worthy of being seen. It feels really, really good when they do. They come in and they fawn on you and they make you feel like you're worthy and you're part of something bigger than what you are. But the problem with that is that it's just not sustainable. To ask someone to fill something within you is going to end up leaving you in a heap, just like this person's friend has been. Now, I love explaining this with the stream kayak principle. Part of the reason why I came up with it is for this very reason. I had so many people that I was working with who could not get this idea of you are whole and your consciousness is your responsibility. So in the stream kayak principle, which I explain in a lot of videos, but I want to touch on it in this one as well. Life is a river and it flows in one direction, downstream. Now, on that river of life, you get your own boat, a kayak, a ship, whatever you want to call it. I like to use a kayak because I think it's just sleek and simple, and I can see myself floating along the river, kind of in harmony, right? And when you are floating downstream, which is the optimal way to go, you know that your boat has everything in it. Your consciousness is your boat, and it's designed to keep you afloat. Even if there's terrain down the river that's kind of rocky and has rapids, you can navigate your way through it, right? The problem is that a lot of times there are situations where we find there's trouble in the water. We end up fighting against the current with our boat headed opposite the direction of life's natural progression. And we fight and we fight. But the one that makes the most sense for this topic is when we end up in someone else's boat, or when we pull someone into our boat. Now, when you think about relationships and you think about your consciousness, right? And you think about this place where your job is to create love, right? A love relationship. You can only love externally to the capacity that you love internally. And the internal love happens right there in your boat. So if you have someone that you're dating, you rush into, right? Anytime there's a rush, there's a pull towards something. So utilize it as information. Don't put judgment on it, but just understand that the rush is playing into the whole picture. It's a factor, right? If you're conscious and you're curious and you're looking at things and things haven't been working for you in the past, it's your job to step in, get curious, and figure out what is going on within your story. So if there's a rush, there's a good chance that you're jumping into someone else's boat, right? And if you're hanging your picture of life and relationship on another person by saying you are the guy, you're automatically jumping into someone else's boat saying, okay, fill this space for me, right? I want you to be this thing that I feel like I need so that I can be whole. It's really comfortable in the beginning, but it's not tangible. On the river of life, if you have two people in one boat, what happens is the boat gets really sluggish and there's no room in that boat for two people for any long period of time. So you end up jabbing someone in the ribs or kicking them in the face. And whether you're the person getting kicked or you're the person kicking, it causes huge problems. Anytime you ask someone to do this or be this so that I can, right? You're in a little bit of a dangerous territory on the water. Now, if you're ending up in a heap and you're ending up in a heap over and over again, chances are you're in the water. You're scrambling. You don't have your boat anywhere near you, right? You're holding on. Breakups can be devastating and they can feel like they last forever because your heart may still be holding on to the side of their boat, right? You've had those moments where you feel like you can't really let go of someone. Even if you close them out on Facebook and you delete them off your phone, your heart is still pulling towards it, right? Pulling towards them. You can't get them out of your head. It's because your consciousness is not in your own boat. You're still linked to that other person's boat. But picture this. What if you had your own boat and the other person that you were creating love with had their boat? And your consciousness and their consciousness were in the place where there was optimal space and growth. And you could paddle up next to each other. Or if one person goes a little bit farther down the road, you see each other, you can love and create harmony and happiness and watch the other person bask. It's a much better place to create the longevity of a relationship, right? Now, as we start to think about this, I want you to take out all judgment. If you've done this, if we're honest, we all have. If you've done this, just understand that you're growing and you're evolving, and every relationship that you're in is designed to help you create greater capacity of heart. Every single one. Yep, even that really, really crappy one. Even that person that you wish that you could literally cut yourself out of the pictures of them and separate it. That relationship is valuable. Yeah, it may feel like fertilizer, but it's fertilizer to help your heart grow, and you got to utilize it. All of the relationships that came before this moment, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you are in a space of singleness now or in relationship with someone now, it doesn't matter. That relationship and all the relationships before it are your place to learn and grow. This is your story that you're writing, right? And that leads us into the next phase, right? Phase 2, where I want to talk to you about how the heart actually works. And I'm going to get all diagrammy on you because I just like being able to have it out and in front of you. So this is you. Yes, I know it's a terrible stick figure, but this is you. This is your heart. Now, as you've come into life, right, as you grew up and you came into this world, you were completely curious and you knew that everything that you needed was right there and you were happy. Your essential truth was so on fire, right? You were more divine than you were human, right? All the amazing truth that is yours was right there, right? This is your essential truth, connected to your higher consciousness. Whatever relationship that looks like for you, the divine, God, the universe, whatever it is, you were whole and full, and your truth was right there, right? Love is your lineage and your legacy, full of light, curiosity, possibility, right? Now, the problem is as we live our life, we live it in relationship to other people. And other people carry things that they were handed down too, that goes against our essential truth, right? The contrast between what we came into this world knowing as our truth versus what we were taught, and we start to create ownership for and adopt. So we have these things that come in and tell us that we are not whole, and that love is painful, and that you have to struggle, and you are not enough, or you're not worthy enough, right? And it happens in a million different little ways. And most often, we get handed down these limiting thoughts and beliefs, not because somebody is trying to hurt us or squash us necessarily, but it's what they knew to be true. And our essential truth gets bound by these limiting beliefs, right? And so as a person who goes out into the world, right, you carry both your essential truth and your limiting beliefs, and we all have them. There's nobody in the world that doesn't have them. That's part of this human experience, right? The problem is that your heart wants you to move beyond the limitation, right? And so what it does is it calls in things to help get you to create movement beyond these spaces, right? Law of attraction doesn't care what it's attracting. It will attract in things that are part of your essential truth. It will also call in things that are alike and common to your limiting beliefs, right? Law of attraction is working for us 24/7. Now, what we don't always pay attention to is that when you then bring in another person to create a love relationship with, right? Whether they're in your boat or you're in their boat or they're in their own boat, however the situation is on the river of life, this person is going to be a mirror to you. That's why they're there, right? And this sacred place to learn and grow has you showing each other both of these things. That has you showing these limiting beliefs, not to squander you or to squash you or to ruin the relationship, but so that you can move through it. Together, you can start to create healthy movement beyond the limitation back to the essential truth, right? And this is what every relationship does. Now, whether or not you pick somebody up off of a dating website or you randomly walked into them at the grocery store and there was an attraction, right? I'm telling you, it's not just a physical attraction. You're not just attracted to their eyes or their hair, their smile, or their tush. It's not just about that. It is law of attraction working for you so that you can create movement for your higher self. And the same for the other person, right? Now the problem is when you step in and you have a limiting belief. Let's just say that the limiting belief that you're working on, right? This wound that you're working on right here says that love is a lie. If you do not take the time and the energy, whether it's conscious or unconscious, to start to create movement beyond this limiting belief, it does not matter how many people fall in line here, it's still going to mirror up that belief. It's not a truth, but you've owned it and adopted it as if it were, right? Does that make sense? So even if you have 5 guys that end up leaving you at a heap, right? They're actually there designed to help you create movement beyond this limiting belief. But you got to step in and you got to do the work. Now, this is just one that I've heard recently, right? Love is a lie. Protect yourself. Love is a lie. And so you may call in somebody who isn't fully available, right? Or you're not fully attracted to, because it's your way to protect yourself from love being a lie. If you have one foot out, then maybe you won't get hurt, right? Now, whatever your undercurrent is, right? Whatever it is that you keep playing over and over again in your mind, you know, when you close your eyes at night and it's the statement that you can't get out of your head, oh my God, he betrayed me, he betrayed me, he betrayed me, or God, it's such a freaking lie. It's such a lie. Whatever your undercurrent is, you've got to show up and create healing in that space. The big how, there's a million ways, right? Hundreds of books out there to create movement beyond a limiting belief. Awakening to Your Story, the book, other episodes on Awakening to TV, Awakening to Your Story on TV. There are so many ways to find out how to create movement beyond this. My personal favorite is to just sit with your inner self and create ownership for something opposite this. If love is a lie, then what is the opposite of that, right? If this was something that you were handed down, be it from a family member, a teacher, your first relationship, whatever it is that started this place, you got to create love in that space. So you got to find the truth. And if this is what you're holding, if this is the limiting belief that you're holding on to that says love is a lie, then what's the opposite of this? Love is true. Love is honest, right? Whatever resonates with you, write it down. You know, I love writing things. I'm a huge fan of journaling. I'm a huge fan of putting, obviously, things in front of you on paper so that you can process it. All those relationships that have left you in a heap are designed to help you move beyond your limiting belief. Whether or not you utilize them or not, that's up to you. This is your story. You're the author. Only you can create the movement beyond this limitation, right? Yes, you picked it up. You may not even understand how or where you picked it up, but if it's there in your life, it's there for a reason. So show up and create movement beyond it, right? So figure out the truth. Figure out the space that is creating the undercurrent, that is creating that limiting belief. Then figure out what the truth is about it. And then start to create ownership for that. Look for it out in the world, right? Love is true and honest. Then, if that's your truth, write it on a piece of paper. Tuck it in your pant pocket. Put it on your refrigerator, on your mirror in the morning. Start to create ownership for it, and then start to look for it in the world. And I am a huge proponent of asking for things. Just ask. Ask the universe, ask the divine, ask your angels, ask whatever it is that you believe in. Just ask. Show me. Show me where love is true. And before you know it, you'll be sitting on the sidewalk and you'll see an old couple hand in hand walking down the road. And all of a sudden that truth will resonate with you, right? Your job is to utilize your love relationship. Whether you're in a relationship that you feel good about, but it's mucky and you need a little bit of help, or you are single and you are on the hamster wheel of dating and you just can't get off, Recognize that those crappy relationships, those blind dates that have you in a pickle at the end of the night, they're there to serve your higher good, but you got to utilize them. You got to look into your own heart and figure out what is your limiting belief versus what is your essential truth, and come back to that essential truth, right? Okay, so I always like to leave you with 3 actionables that make everything kind of come home and tight. And so today, those 3 actionables are: get in your own boat. Get in your boat. Anytime that you are in a relationship or in a conversation with another person, stop for a second, just for a minute, and go, am I expecting them to fulfill something within me that I need to fulfill within myself, that is my responsibility? Just stop and pay attention. Get in your own boat, right? Heart actionable number 2, map out your heart. If you're sitting in a bar or a restaurant and you are having a crappy date and that your date goes to the bathroom, get out a pen, draw your little stick figure and go, what is right and what is wrong here? Like, map it out right there in that moment if you need to, or go home and get out a journal and map it out for yourself, right? Your job is to do your work, to figure out the elements of your story and to kind of take back the power of those elements, right? Life doesn't happen to you. It's not everything bombarding you, trying to mess you up. It's happening for you. But you got to start to organize those elements out, right? Get in your own boat, map out your heart, and define and establish what love is for you, right? What is love for you? This will take the rest of your life, right? This human experience is about figuring out your love relationship with the rest of the world and humanity. So figure out what love means for you. If you have that belief, right, that limiting belief that says love is a lie, or that you are not worthy of love, or whatever it is that you picked up along the way, your job is to redefine it. Come back to the truth. Figure out what love means for you. And you can do that in these relationships, right? It becomes an adventure rather than a drudgery of the hamster wheel of trying to swipe left if you think he's cute. It doesn't matter where you show up as long as you show up, right? Start to utilize this dating experience, right, as an adventure to get you back into your boat, tapped back into what love means for you. And I promise you, if you do these things, promise, it will be a much better experience. And even if you end up on a hump and on the floor eating a carton of cookies or a pint of ice cream, you will understand that there is purpose there. Purpose for you to move forward closer and more tapped into your higher self. If you have any questions or comments about this, or need a little bit more explanation, email me at alicia@awakeningtoyourstory.com. Otherwise, until next week's episode, I want you to know just how valuable you are. I'm grateful for you and all that you bring to the table of humanity. And yes, that is even you figuring out these crazy love relationships. Until next week, know that you are loved and appreciated. For more support, information, and inspiration, join me at awakeningtoyourstory.com.